You have famously likened the US fiscal situation to a slow motion runaway train of large deficits. Lynn, please explain your meme.
So yeah, nothing stops this train. Obviously, it touches on Breaking Bad. Even if you haven't seen the show, I mean, the kind of the description kind of speaks for itself. A process that's very very hard to stop. And basically, what it means is that U.S. fiscal deficits, kind of above average size, are here to stay for the foreseeable future, and that has implications. So generally speaking, economies are either in monetary dominance or fiscal dominance. And in the history of the US, kind of the history of this fiat era, basically, first we were in monetary dominance, kind of the rise of this whole kind of central banking and telegraph era. That blew up in the Great Depression. That was a period of a shift toward fiscal dominance. So basically, all this private sector leverage built up, it started to collapse, and we kind of shifted that onto the public ledger. And then during World War II, we basically inflated that away. And then we went through this another long period of monetary dominance again, where most money creation is happening from bank lending. We're building a private sector leverage more so than public sector leverage. And then that all blew up in the Great Recession, 2008. And then once again, much like the 30s and 40s, we started shifting from private sector leverage to public sector leverage. And in the US's case, one, it's demographics. So we've got the kind of the most top-heavy demographics we've had in the country's history. Two, we've got this really expensive healthcare system, which is
Yeah.
then also entangled with those demographics. So Social Security and Medicare are just massive outgoing expenses compared to those paying into them, and that's pretty structural and very hard to cut or raise taxes on.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, we have the issue of financialization. In the US, the tax receipts tend to be pretty correlated with the stock market because we got this really giant stock market. All global capital wants to be in it. The way we've done our tax structure, I mean, we have more wealth concentration than most other developed countries. And executives, a lot of times, their compensation is in equities and options, basically. Capital gains taxes are a big deal. And so, what makes that hard is that any attempt at austerity, you generally start to get a slower economy and a weaker stock market, and that starts hurting the government's tax receipt side, and that deficit starts blowing out again. The last point is that basically we had 40 years of declining interest rates that offset our debt expense, and they're no longer falling. And so interest expense has now exceeded defense spending for the first time in like the country's history, and that's not a great position for an empire to be in. And basically the entropy of the ledger has built up on the public side, and we're in the process, kind of like the 1940s, where you do some combination of run it hot, inflate it away, um, and go from there. With the difference being that we have way worse demographics now, and so that it's this more slow motion process of just money still pouring out to those on the receiving side of the deficits, and there's really no political will or mechanism to address that meaningfully in the next 5, 10 plus years.